Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, the chief attention getter and hippie capitalist at C47 Digital Studios. This show is an exploration of entrepreneurship because it's important to hear people's inspirational stories of where they were and where they're going and how they've gotten to where they are. But even more important is to glean all those tactical, actionable data points that we can use on our own journeys as we grow our businesses, and we can say, yes, we bootstrapped to become a unicorn.
Bootstrapped Unicorns, we are back for another episode. What episode number is it? You know I don't know that. I am just ready to have a great conversation with my friend Debbie, and you're going to be better for having listened to it today. So as you know, we are a sponsored podcast. Hire VP is a partner of ours. They're amazing. If you are a business professional, if you're a large, small business, doesn't really matter the size, and you need to expand with new talent, you need to consider a virtual assistant. Now, virtual assistants, sure, it's a pedestrian term. Virtual professionals, not so much. And that's what they staff. Virtual professionals, college educated, multilingual, US college educated. Yes, they might be foreign. It doesn't matter when it comes to quality, it's quality, and they provide quality. They also provide quality for us. We're customers. So I want to encourage you to check out Hire VP. Go to hirevp.us/unicorns, and you can learn more about a great opportunity to get 10% off your first 3 months of service with Hire VP. Now, let's get to the real deal and the reason why you're here. So Debbie Gunter is one of my dear friend's wives, and wives, plural. You're the only one, right?
I'm the only one.
Good.
That I know.
Good plan. Yeah. And she's awesome. She's an entrepreneur in a completely separate business that I can't wait to learn more about. The community newspaper, right? And do I have this right?
Well, the community paper.
The community paper. Why do we always add news? Is that just something you add to paper?
Well, it is a newspaper, so
Sure.
yeah.
All right.
It works.
So, yeah, I want to dig into this too, because, I'm going to start off with the hard questions, Debbie. Newspapers, as it were, tactile newspapers, it's a thing that I remember from my childhood. And last week, I kid you not, I drove past a house that had a newspaper rolled up at the end of the driveway in plastic. And I slowed down to point out to my kids that this is something my friend used to deliver door to door, but the internet's kind of taken over. And so, tell me a little bit about your business. Is it delivered, ever in paper? I know there's a great digital presence, and that's awesome. And in fact, we were just talking about a big win that we should get. But tell me about it. And was it even ever paper?
Was it what?
Was it ever on paper?
We print 15,000 copies every year.
No. Am I just in the wrong place to get the mail?
Well, okay, complicated. Can I back up to the start?
Anywhere you want.
So the paper was started in 1989 by this woman, Susan Tutor, and she ran it along with another business that she had going on. So she did a lot of like copy and pasting and that sort of thing. But any news that anyone sent to her, she put it in the paper. So she started it in 1989, and she and her son, her kids, people would pitch in, rolling the papers up and putting them in the little bags, and they would drive around College Park. It was only College Park back then. And throw them in everyone's driveway. So fast forward to 2004, I got my real estate license.
Okay.
And just jumped in, going at it, and would advertise in the paper. In her paper.
Okay.
Yes. And so that was 2004. It did always bug me that it would rain and all the papers that were in the driveways would fill up with, bags would fill up with water.
It was always gross.
Yeah, so that always frustrated me. But I kept advertising in it because that was all we had.
Yeah.
And everyone read it because it was school news. Your kid's picture was in the newspaper.
Hyper-local works.
Hyper-local. And it was only College Park. So at that point, when she first started it, she kind of ventured into downtown a little bit, but then ended up pulling it back to just College Park. So I raised my kids in College Park, super involved in the community, PTA, Main Street, all that. And so in 2010, she wanted to sell the paper.
Okay.
And she called me, which was so odd. I asked the same question because I was a full-time real estate agent and I had no journalism degree. I didn't know anything about that business. And she said it didn't matter, but I was super involved in the community. And so she said, that's all that matters. And you can learn everything else. You're smart. You'll figure it out. I was like, wait.
Well, okay. How true is that?
Well,
have you figured it out?
I'm still learning all the time. But I've always liked a challenge. So
well, yeah, here it was.
Let me think about this. So I had some friends in the industry, and I took about a month to just sort of ask questions and see if I could do this. But I knew I would only do it if I could afford to mail the papers, because I hated that they came rolled up in the driveway and then it would rain and it bugged me. And also I would look at the paper and think, I wish it was more colorful. I wish it was prettier. I'm a very visual person. So I did some investigating with all of that. My oldest daughter was actually in college at the time studying advertising, and she knew how to use InDesign.
Ooh,
and
okay.
So it sounds so silly, but I was like, hey, Amanda, my 20-year-old daughter, can you lay out this paper if I buy it? I mean, that's how small.
I don't know how that just makes sense to me, though, because you got a kid who's learning technology. She's going to have an eye. If you trusted to put her into college education for this topic, you must believe in her.
Yes, she's very talented.
Yeah.
And so she said, sure. And when I bought it, there wasn't an editor. There were no writers. It was just me. And
so what were you buying? Was it the distribution list?
Yes, the advertising contracts that she already had. And they had most of them had been with her just for years and years and years.
Okay, so stable income.
Yeah, so bigger real estate companies and that sort of thing. But it really was more of like a little side hustle, kind of a hobby. So I bought it and we were just doing it that way. My daughter taught me how to do layout. My first letter from the editor, I told College Park, I have no idea what I'm doing. So hang in there with me.
Do you still have a copy of it?
I'm going to learn. Yeah, I do.
That's awesome.
And of course my dad does, because he has every single one.
That's really cute.
And so then, at some point another friend, I found out she could do layout. And so little by little, I just started like adding a person here, adding a person there. And now like some months we'll have total with everyone who's working on the paper, like 17 to 18 people.
Oh my, how many full-time?
So no one's full-time.
Interesting business model.
Yes. I'm the only technical employee. My managing editor is kind of part-time, full-time.
Sure.
And then my copy editor, part-time. She has a copy editing business.
Okay.
She lives in College Park, so she kind of does that on the side. My billing gal, same thing. I have another admin who lives in Kenya, actually, and helps me.
I love that, by the way.
She does all different things for different people.
Has she ever been to the U.S.? That's even more fun.
It's
the
so
idea that it's a community newspaper, but you have a valuable team member from Kenya who's never even been to the United States is.
I know. And it's been so neat for me getting to know her and her life. And now we'll talk on WhatsApp. They had some really bad flooding about a month ago. And so, I'm like, are you okay? And so that's been really cool. We now have UCF interns. We've had those for years, but in the beginning, I didn't have any of that. So we have a great relationship with UCF. So we usually have 2 interns every semester.
Wow.
And then I have just a bunch of freelance writers who live in the communities we cover, which is South Downtown, Central Downtown, North Downtown, and then College Park. So kind of that urban core, like all the Main Street areas.
Yeah.
And a few of them are journalists or have a journalism degree, but maybe they're doing something else. But some of them are just community members who are involved and like to write. And so, and I have a delivery woman who delivers to over 300 businesses we're in.
That's interesting. So because you had mentioned you wanted to make sure you have a way of mailing it.
So let me back up. We did mail them for quite a while. We were mailing about 15,000 copies.
It's a lot of mail.
And every year, just the print costs kept going up. The postage kept going up. Excuse me. And, a lot of these small businesses can't afford to keep, paying more for advertising.
Right.
And so for a couple of years, it was really bugging me. Like, how can I maintain this? Because it's not sustainable.
Right.
And so what we decided to do is we now have a subscription model. Like if the people wanted to still get it in the mailbox, because we were mailing that. I mean, that was a lot of people that were used to getting it, and they really loved it. And so now for $20, they can get it for the whole year, which is,
very inexpensive. How many issues a year?
So it's monthly.
Oh, 12 issues a year.
Yeah.
That's really cheap per issue.
I know, and it's just to cover our costs, really, because, nobody's getting rich doing this, but to cover our costs. And then we pick different pockets of downtown, and we'll mail 4,000. And so we'll do like one pocket for 3 months to get them, interested in the paper. And then we'll switch to another one. And then hopefully those people will subscribe. But they're everywhere. We're in, I think, 6 zip codes. Publix, the YMCA, just everywhere anybody goes.
And those are free on the rack. Yes. That makes a lot of sense.
Free on the rack. And it's been so fun. It's been such a journey of like figuring it out. But now just, now I feel like I know what I'm doing now. And I feel like I know what the community wants.
What does the community want?
They want good news. They, which works well for me because I'm sort of one of these no conflict people. And so we have a rule at the paper. My philosophy is I don't want to print anything that's going to hurt anyone or any business. So we don't do reviews and stuff like that.
Right. Because you'd have to be honest. And if a place stunk, you'd have to say
and
it.
I know there's a place for that, but just for this, I feel like there's so many great media outlets in Orlando already. And so we are just kind of shining a light on the positive, which people really love that. And they thank me for it all the time. And they thank our writers and our team. Yeah. It's just like a breath of fresh air,
That's really cool. So it's good news actually sells.
Yeah, it does. And the advertisers really like it. They like that we don't do politics. We don't do anything controversial. Just, we highlight businesses like, who owns Maxine's on Shine. So we'll do an interview with, Maxine and
super
Kurt.
Cool place, funky, awesome people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll also do interviews with I did this interview with John Mina right after Pulse. And just to get to know him on a more personal level, like what was that like for you personally? How do you unwind from this job? So we do those interviews.
Right. So not terribly politically, already had the job, Yeah,
this was again right after Pulse happened. And, like we've interviewed, Mayor Dyer, but like, what do you do on the weekends? And had a picture of him paddleboarding on Lake Silver. And,
really? Buddy Dyer?
Yeah.
No kidding.
That one back when he was still living in that house. He's moved to a different house now. But so we get to know like some high profile people every month.
That's
and
great.
Help show like who they are as just people, because we only know them as the city official or the guy on TV. Trying. We've done a lot of like news anchors and the weather guy, just stuff like that.
I love it. And I like that you don't run with the whole if it bleeds, it leads type of thing, because that negative, we have so much of that in our society. We need that breath of fresh air and we need that respite from all of the crazy. And so the idea that you're bringing that to people, and you've been doing it longer actually than the worst of the negative press has been out there, in my opinion. I feel like the last 5+ years, it's gone to a whole new level. And the fact that you're maintaining that, and in the good way, maintaining the good is super refreshing. So I'm curious, why would you leave? Are you still selling real estate?
So this is my 20th year in real estate.
Okay.
I'm mainly only doing it now for like my kids and friends and family.
Yeah. So you're not hanging a heavy shingle as a realtor.
Today, yes.
Oh, well, congratulations.
For my daughter. So I didn't make any money. I work as a free realtor a lot these days.
Well, and you know what? There's place for that. I had a family member go to a family member who was her own dad, and he took a commission. And I remember thinking, oh my, the times must have changed, because that doesn't work. And you did the right thing. And I love that.
Yeah.
So you're a free realtor, which, ladies and gentlemen, please don't take advantage.
Please don't call me.
Don't call her. Not for that. But your passion and your business obviously align in being the newspaper. You light up about this. That's a good thing. When you said yes, you looked into it and you're going to do it, I don't know if I understand why.
Because I love a challenge, and I knew I could make it better.
Okay.
I really believed that I could. And I've been doing real estate for a while, and I don't know. I was kind of going through the mundane, working, and this just seemed fun. And I really thought of it more. It was just going to be like a little side thing. I didn't really envision it becoming as big as it is now, and actual career. So.
And I'm assuming it sounds like, I mean, you're the full-time employee and there's only 17 other people. People are getting paid. This is not a hobby. This is, and of course you spent money to choose to do this too. I mean, so you got to pay yourself back at some point, right?
I mean, I will not lie. Some months I don't pay myself because, again, it's so up and down. Like some advertisers will take off for the summer. Some of them at the first of the year, they might just take a couple months off to regroup and then come back. And so there is a little bit of that up and down. And so, but everybody else always gets paid for sure. And then sometimes I pay myself.
Well, that's great leadership. You wouldn't have them coming back to you if you're like, hey, you're going to have to wait until I find some money. You got to pay your crew first. But it sounds like a pretty flexible business model. Was that intentional to not bring staff on and keep it malleable like that?
Well, we had to, because print media, as you know, is a challenge financially. And so we have hardly any overhead. We rent a little office for like $300 a month. And,
perfect.
And we just use freelancers. And so I have found that there are a lot of people who maybe they used to be a journalist, but they, were able to support their family. So they're doing something else, but they miss it. And so they want to, do something on the side. We have several people like that who just, they majored in journalism and they miss it. And then our interns from UCF are incredible, just incredible. And we do pay them a little bit, per story that they write. Yeah. There's just not a lot of room. And so I think that's why we've been able to keep it going and not, we've never been in trouble. Like
that's great.
During COVID, so that's good. And I think
didn't we need good news then, though? I mean, you were more important then than ever.
Yeah.
Given the world that we were in, good news was medicine.
Well, and helping, we love small business, and that's one of our missions as well, is to support small business and help share their stories and educate people on, what they're doing, what they have to offer. So yeah, sure, it's free publicity, but that's local, right? That's what everybody wants to know about. So during COVID, we did a lot of that promotion of what the businesses were trying to do. And, so we've never been in trouble. And I think it's because we have such low overhead.
Yeah.
I tried for a while to have a full-time person other than myself, but we're a monthly paper. And so it didn't really, not that there wasn't enough to do, but with our interns and our freelancers, it just, you know what I mean?
It sounds like you covered all the bases.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's all working really well.
And you're digital now too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that going?
It's going great. And we, our social following has increased substantially since this guy who works with me now, who actually, he, a couple of years ago, he inherited a little bit of money and he asked me if he could buy into the paper. And so he now owns a little piece of the paper, which is so great.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's Nick, who is our managing editor.
Okay.
And so when he came into the picture, he'd been writing for us freelance. And when he came in and did that, he's now, he kind of took over our digital presence, and
that's really wonderful.
Growing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any metrics on traffic into the website, traffic on your social media? Well, what's that look like for you?
Yes. So it's funny. We have 2 e-newsletters that go out. And when we first started doing those, it was kind of slow going, but I think everyone is so digital now that that's been growing really well. So I've noticed a huge increase in, and you gauge it by how many people are clicking on the story in the newsletter, how many people are even opening the newsletter. And so that's been growing substantially. Our website has been growing substantially, like our traffic. We're really small comparatively. So I think our traffic on our website is about 22,000 views a month, which
But what's the population of, right, I know, but what's the population of College Park?
So, the paper's outside.
I understand, but I'm just trying to so we've got about 5 zip codes, but if we take one and kind of quickly extrapolate, we can do live podcast math. How many people do you think live? How many residents in College Park? If you had to guess. Handful of thousand is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, they're more than you think, because there are a lot of like duplexes and apartments and that sort of thing. I'm sorry, I don't know that answer.
Well, let's ask Siri if we can find it. Hey, Siri.
Because I'm like, wait, I should know that.
What is the population of College Park, Florida?
I think when we were mailing to just College Park, I think the number of homes was like around 10,000.
Oh, it gave me Jacksonville. Hold on. Is there a College Park in Jacksonville? There must be.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Siri. What is the population of College Park in the Orlando, Florida area?
You might have to say the 32804 zip code.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. Orange County, Florida, about 20,000 residents in College Park. So, 5 zip codes, 100,000 residents. And if your monthly traffic is 22,000 views, that's about 22% of your population, if we're willing to spread that just kind of quick math across.
Thank you.
That's enormous. 22% penetration in any market is massive.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
I like the way your mind works.
Yeah. Well, this is how I'm thinking. Yeah. I mean, but there are some. This is not your organization, but there's some cute efforts out there where people want to do some good news, and they've got 500, followers, but the population's 250,000 people, and so are they doing a good thing? Of course they are. They're trying to bring light to good subjects, but it's not a viable business model. And if somebody were to advertise, they wouldn't get their dollars worth if they were advertising in that cute little version. Now, there is a cute aspect to how you're doing things. This is good news, and it's a beautiful messaging, and it's great advertisers that we can trust because I've seen it. So I know it's good product, and good and cute can run together. However, it's not that colloquial kind of almost gross cute where it's like, good job, kid. Like you guys are running a viable advertising opportunity for your customers and a real joyful service for the community. And the numbers are there. So your website getting 22% roughly to penetration into your market is insanely large.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I just got really excited. I like numbers with stuff like this. So your advertisers, advertisers, you should know that you're getting your money's worth in spades.
But it's really great because for example, the airport, Orlando International Airport. Yes, they're not a small business. However, they impact all of our lives, right?
Of course.
And so they advertise in print and on the website, and we do newsletters. So it's a great way for advertisers our rates are not that high.
Yeah.
They could be higher, but again, I'm always thinking about small business. So they're not crazy, but it's just a great way for, them to be seen in multiple places. Right. And just to be seen as somebody who supports the paper, because the the community loves the paper. I hear all the time. I mean, I'm so humbled at the emails and the phone calls and just, I love it so much.
How do you find your stories?
So all different ways. So just because I lived in College Park for 30 years, I know a lot of people. So people will just text me, hey, this, hey, that.
That's probably the best way, actually.
Yeah, we get a lot that way. Our whole team sort of pitches ideas. And the cool thing, so Orlando is very diverse. We have the country club set. We have the LGBTQ community. We have young people who are more on the, I don't know how to explain it, artsy.
Yep. Artsy.
And our team is the same. So our team is diverse. So when we get together to pitch stories, that's why when you read the paper, there's just everything representing everyone who lives here, which is really important to me too.
Do you ever wake up at like 12:30 or 1 in and accidentally find yourself on TMZ's, like in the middle of the night TV show? Have you ever seen this?
I do not, but I haven't.
No. It's so I don't have cable anymore because I'm that cable cutter. But there was a time when I would flip on the TV and I'm like, I don't know why I'm awake. And then there's TMZ has a TV show where it's this bullpen of young, diverse people, like 15, 20 of them in this funky, cool room. And they're all throwing out ideas for different stories. And then some of them would have a story kind of in their pocket that they'd start pitching. And that was actually their news show, is that how they would bring up stories was this pitch fest. And then suddenly the picture, you got 17 random freelancers, some of them Skyping in from Kenya and, and everybody's throwing out ideas. Is that how it is?
Yeah, it is.
Really?
We had one today. I didn't go today, but we'll meet at the office. It's a really small office. So sometimes we'll meet like at the donut shop or coffee shop.
I was going to say, do you have some hippie crisscross applesauce on the desk somewhere?
Yeah, kind of. It's that small. But no, that's how it is. Everyone just kind of throws something out. When I wake up in the middle of the night, it's more like, oh, I have this great idea for a story. And like, for example, my son, and I don't normally write about my family, but this was such a cool story. My son has 5 friends. They all live in College Park, and they all keep having only boy babies. So there's 5 of these, and they're close friends. They hang out all the time anyway. My son had the first kid, he and his wife. Then they all started having kids, and every time someone would get pregnant, it was like, is it a girl? Nope, another boy, another boy, another boy.
How many boys do we have now?
7 now. And
2 more, and we have a full baseball roster.
Yes, and so I thought, that's a really funny story, fun story.
Yeah,
and
it
so
absolutely is fun.
Cool. And so they all, like the dads, they go to the science center, take the kids, give the moms a break, and moms become friends. And so stuff like that will pop into my head. And but like this sweet lady called. It was her mom's 100th birthday. She celebrated it at Dubstred, and she has pictures of herself as a little girl at Dubstred because she grew up in College Park. And so like that's going to be our College Park feature for next month. Because that's so cool.
Have you managed to get Dubstred to advertise in your paper?
Full page ad every month.
Okay, good.
And they pay.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't kept up with this, Steve Gunter and Barb are the proprietors of Dubstred. Steve happens to be Debbie's husband. And so I think there's some pressure to advertise there. However, I guess you guys both get the benefit of both worlds. He's a great advertiser, and he's in a great location as an advertiser. So that all works really well. If you haven't seen episode 7, go watch that. He was on episode 7.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, no, he does advertise, and it's funny because years ago, somebody was like annoyed with me thinking that I was another restaurant owner who they were out of business, but they were annoyed thinking that Steve just got this free full page ad. And
really?
I'm like, no, he pays just like everybody else.
To be perfectly honest, they shouldn't be annoyed, because if you wanted to do it and it's in the family, it's your right as a business owner to do that. I don't understand.
But it has been this running joke with Barb, his partner, because really, we have to write this check to you every month. And I'm like, I need the cash flow. Yes,
absolutely. Well, that page could go to somebody else. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. So anyway, so they do advertise, but they also give us a lot of perks too. We trade out our Christmas party and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a good idea. So nice. You could probably also meet there to have your bullpen sessions.
Yes. Yeah. And we do sometimes.
Good.
And we, one of the things going back to, I was telling you, I didn't know anything about this business. I reached out to Rick Brunson. He's a professor at UCF in the journalism department. And so one time I said, hey, we have all these writers writing for us, but none of them are journalists. This was probably about 5 years ago or so. And I said, can you just come teach us, just do a little class? And he was so sweet. And I said, I'll pay you, come. So we met at Dubstred in the boardroom. He did this amazing class. And at the end, I went to pay him, and he said, you know what, just make a donation to your favorite charity instead.
How cool is that?
I love him. So we've maintained this friendship, and he, like, if there's something that I don't know the answer to, and I'll call him, how
That's
should
cool.
I do this? What would you do?
So I'm a transplant. I grew up in Rochester, New York, moved down here. It's about 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And so when I moved down, I didn't understand what this UCF thing was.
Oh, really?
I had no frame of reference at all. Somebody mentioned UCF, and I was like, well, that sounds like a college. And that was my root level information on what it is. And I'm discovering how integrated and important it is to our community. And I think only recently am I coming to kind of an awareness that it actually, through that intern flow and, really high quality first career workers we get out of there. Has UCF really been an important part? It sounds like between interns and at least this professor, it's showing up in your business.
Oh, big time. And in fact, several of our interns, they have stayed on to work with us, as a freelancer after their internship. But because of the paper, they realized their love for community news. And so they've gone on to work. One of my favorite interns, Annabelle, I happen to know the editor of the West Orange Observer. We went to high school together. And so Annabelle was looking for a job, and I knew they were hiring. And I said, Amy, if you don't hire this girl, you are going to be so regretting it. And so she hired Annabelle. So she works there full time now. And then another one of my favorites works now at Channel 9. And, it's just fun to see them grow.
That's awesome.
And I've stayed in touch with so many of them. They become like family. They call me their mom, their second mom. So it's kind of fun.
That's really cool.
And then another guy who was working for us, Tommy Cardinal, he is now working. He moved to South Carolina, and he just got promoted to managing editor of that county newspaper up there. So it's been so fun. I love these kids, and they're so smart, and they're so well educated at UCF. They come really knowing what they're doing. And
I'm trying to explain that to my daughter right now, because she was even on the fence about college, but then like every college name on the planet comes up when you talk about it. I'm like, UCF's in your backyard.
Yeah.
This is where you really need to consider. I'm not going to push too hard, but I'm coming to realize what a treasure we have here.
It's great. What does she want to do?
She doesn't really know. She's in the International Baccalaureate Theater program at Gateway High School in Kissimmee. And she's doing a great job. The head teacher, professor, whatever you want to call him in high school over that program is very much taking her under the wing, and she's getting a lot of accolades. So I think it's going well for her. But it's unclear to me if, as a freshman rising into sophomore year, she's really decided anything pertinent, and I don't think she needs to.
No.
Yeah.
100% not.
Yeah, I'm fingers crossed she goes to the IB program in a way where she gets that awesome scholarship where she can just pick a college and go with lower consequences, and so she could maybe just pick the thing that's the attractive one and go and learn. So we'll see. But so off camera, before we started talking on camera, you had mentioned an interesting recent kind of fun win that you're working on right now. And I know you can't necessarily name drop, but I loved that. And those of you listening who don't know the Orlando area, you probably think we all like live at Disney and we're all work for the mouse. That's actually untrue, like very untrue. And your paper helps people remember and live outside of the mouse life. But it sounds like something international is happening to bring that to light. And I think it's so cool that your paper's allowing this conversation to grow. Can you tell us about that?
I'm so excited. And it just makes me so proud of our team that they're writing these amazing stories that, a European production company is coming to Orlando to film a show in August. It's going to be 12 episodes on the real Orlando. And so she just wanted to know, like, what do you do, like, for fun, or when people come visit you, where do you take them? And
that's right. We all wrestle gators.
Guess what I sent her? I sent her a video of my brother and I on this bike trail out in West Orange County. Their alligators are just everywhere. They're just like laying on the trail. I was scared to death, but my brother's like, it's fine. I've done it. It's fine. And so I did send them that video. I said, well, rather than going to like, Gatorland,
which I go to all the time and I still love. There is something so local Florida about Gatorland. It's my favorite theme park.
They wanted to do things that weren't like, if you Google like what to do when I visit,
right?
Stuff that,
they want
local people
normal.
know. And so I sent them the videos of that bike trail, and they were just like, wait, no, people do that? No.
Oh, totally.
And I'm like,
well, you got to live life.
So just stuff like that. And then they wanted, I won't tell because I don't want to.
Don't spoil it. I think it's neat that your paper is an ambassador for local Orlando. I mean, your paper has been so focused on 5 zip codes. Is it 5? And it's doing great things. But this unique moment where somebody from an entirely different country has discovered an opportunity to learn about these 5 zip codes. It's kind of a right place, right time, right amount, right type of work moment. And just think about the economic development that you're going to be a part of that chain, that when they feature what's really local to Orlando and we get tourism in Central Florida from people who go, oh, a bike trail with alligators. I would like to do that. Oh, there's a golf course called Dubsdread, and I want a pub burger that's internationally known at Dubsdread. And they've got this list of kind of bucket list, awesome, off the beaten path to them because it's not a Big Mouse or Universal or whatever. That is, I mean, because I've worked with economic development corporations for years. I mean, it's one of those things where they always want to advertise. They always want to get into videos, video podcasting, whatever. So I've run with EDCs forever. They look at heads in beds as their metric. And you're opening a pipeline to a whole new interest set of heads in beds. Who would have thought back in 2010 is when you bought? that you'd be leading up to a moment like this where a whole bunch of small businesses are going to get new revenue opportunities that were unfathomable. Even when did you take that phone call?
This morning was our call.
Come on.
It was so
fun. Even yesterday, it was not even necessarily a thing.
I know. So we were emailing and then we set up the call for today. And then, of course, I did talk about Dubstred, but there's also a historic golf trail in Florida.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And Dubstred's on it. And so I sent that to them and I sent them. So Dubstred turns 100 this year. So our cover story, I haven't even shared the story with Steve yet because I want to wait.
That's okay. Yeah.
I want to give him the paper and so he can see.
Yeah. And honestly, you know him. He's going to well, can I change this or can I change that?
But you know him well.
I do.
But anyway, I sent them the story that's going to be our cover story for this next edition because it's all about the history of Dubstred. And I sent them the link to the tour and, just stuff like that. And then they wanted an interesting restaurant where the restaurant owners had a really cool story. And I'm not going to say which one it is yet, but it's a super fun, funky couple that
I like it already.
And I sent them the interview we did with them and it was hilarious and just, anyway, so that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool and I'm excited to see it. Apparently the star of the show is some very famous person over there.
Well,
that's all I know.
So we're going to have you come back on so you can tell what happened in the aftermath of that, because this is going to be super fun.
I know.
I'm really excited for you. So just a couple of questions before I let you get back to finding good news to share with the world. Mm-hmm. You're running a unique small business that I think there's a lot of other small businesses out there that have this kind of freelancer hybrid model. And there's a lot of managing people that you're doing, but in a unique way. Have you found a good way to have a culture that keeps people cohesive and feels like a team, even though they're not next to each other in cubicles or offices?
Yes. So the pitch meetings, the monthly pitch meetings, and Nick leads those and he will invite anyone who wants to come pitch. Okay. And the fun thing is some of our former interns, they'll come back still. They're still freelancing for us.
Awesome.
Some of our more recent interns. And so they'll all come. So the pitch meetings, I think, are great. And we buy everybody donuts and coffee or whatever. And
you had me at donuts.
And then, have you been to Parlor Donuts?
No, where's that?
Park? In College Park.
Yeah.
It's owned by Brad Coward, who owns Infusion Tea.
Oh, I know that brand. Yeah.
So he and his brother opened Parlor Donuts, and oh my goodness, they are so good. You have to go.
And the owner's name is
Brad Coward.
Cowherd,
yeah.
like cowherder.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Mr. Cowherder, and I hear you're a donut proprietor. We would love to have you come and eat donuts with us on the show. That would be cool.
You need to talk to that guy. He owns the Halley Mansion. He owns Parlor Donuts. He owns Infusion Tea.
What a riot! That sounds fun.
An engineering company, last I heard. Anyway. Very interesting guy.
So he's a multifaceted entrepreneur. He's our type of guy.
He and his wife just opened a home for foster children, but they live in a house. They have a boys' house and a girls' house out in West Orange County.
Good people.
Great guy. Anyway, so we do that, and then once a year we have a Christmas party, but we usually do it, in January or November, and we give everyone little gifts and stuff. So we try to let them know that they're still appreciated by us, but then they also have really enjoyed getting to know each other too. So it's been really cool.
I got just one more question, because I think a lot of our audience is pounding the pavement, trying to look for new clients, new people to spend money to keep them going. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they're delivering a great product, but sometimes it's hard to get the word out. When you, maybe either now or when you first started out, what was it that allowed you to get to advertisers to explain the value and get them to advertise? How do you find your revenue? Yeah.
100% relationships. And I think because I was really active in the community. Mm-hmm. And so I knew everyone. I knew all the business owners and they knew me and they trusted me. And
is that some of your realtor vibe?
Probably, but it's just kind of my people vibe. I've always loved getting to know people. And I don't know, I'm just a people person. And so
I can tell.
I think because they trusted me. And then as the paper I started getting into it, they were like, this is pretty cool. And so anyway, fast forward and now it's incredible. But our relationship building is super huge for us. So we try to, get to know the business owners and we try to help them. Like a lot of small business owners, they can't afford a marketing agency.
It's true.
And so we're working with one business right now, just helping them come up with some creative ideas to help the community know who they are.
Okay.
And so they can afford us, whereas they couldn't afford
Sure.
a big firm.
Yep.
And so we're just trying to, pull some people together who might have different skills
Yeah.
who could help them. And so, yeah, that's really important to us, being a platform for small business.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I would say relationships. I mean,
what's your favorite way to build a relationship? You don't know the person, maybe somebody connected you, your first pass at building a relationship. What do you do? This? Just hang out?
Yeah, go meet the new owner of the new restaurant and sit at his bar and talk to him. And I mean, these people work so hard. They're so amazing. And just getting to know them one-on-one and volunteering too. I've just always been a big volunteer. I've kind of taken a step back from that right now because I'm helping my husband with his business with some stuff. So I'm really busy.
Sure. He did mention that he was monopolizing a little of your time.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, but volunteering I think is huge in the community, like with Main Street or if your kids are in school and real estate too. I mean, when I got in real estate, boom. I mean, I killed it just because I knew people and they trusted me. And so,
know, like, and trust.
I know.
It's the key.
I mean, it's pretty simple, really.
Yeah.
But and getting yourself out there. I think a lot of business owners, small business owners, they just open the doors and everyone's just going to come. Mm-hmm. But that it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, the whole field of dreams thing is unfortunately attractive, but it doesn't mean it's real.
I know, and they don't really understand social media. But anyway, so they need to get involved and put themselves out there and do some sort of advertising. That needs to be a part of their marketing budget. Marketing needs to be a part of their budget when they start their business.
Yeah. And it isn't usually. So coaching them into it is the right decision. Yeah. So what is the best URL for us to go and frequent the newspaper?
Thanks for asking. It's yourcommunitypaper.com.
Yourcommunitypaper.com. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to be an advertiser in this brilliant Central Florida 5 zip code, 22,000 web impressions out of about 100,000 people every month advertising platform, how would I reach you to advertise?
So everything is right there on our website. Perfect. There's an advertise button. There's a contact us. There's a subscribe button if you want to get the paper in the mail or sign up for a newsletter. So it's all right there.
I like it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being
Thanks
on.
For having
you have
me.
A cool thing going on, and the good news is good news.
I love it. It just makes my heart so happy. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I am so joyful that this was such a positive conversation about a positive newspaper. I hope you feel as light as I do right now. Unicorns, we need this level of positivity in our world. If you are local or aren't local and you're ever going to be in the Orlando area, you should probably be a digital subscriber so that you can learn about what it means to be hyper local in Orlando. And so as you always know, I'm Josh Pies. I'm the chief attention getter at C47 Films and the chief unicorn. I really am excited about our next episode. Why? Because I know somebody lined up an awesome person for me and I'm going to hang out with them, but I don't know who it is. So as usual, I expect to see you on the next episode. And if you, bootstrapper and unicorn, need something in entrepreneurship, you need a leg up in your world, you need new inspiration, you need an idea, please avail yourself of the Bootstrapped Unicorns Facebook group. It's a small application to join. There's no selling in there. It's just entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. It's a good place to grow your business. I do this because I care about you, and our guests all care about you too. And so we all hang out in that group. Join it. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice. Sure, why not? See you then.